My parents canceled my 18th birthday because my older brother was feeling down. I walked out at midnight, and the fallout turned my whole life inside out. Grew up as the invisible kid beside my golden boy. Brother, my parents canceled my 18th birthday to protect his feelings. So I moved out that night with $200 and started over. A year later, my brother found my growing music channel and tried to destroy me online, then broke into my place and stole my guitar. I documented everything, rebuilt under a new name, and confronted my family at a dinner with receipts. Their image cracked, my career took off, and I finally celebrated my birthday, late but free. I'm Owen, and turning 18 was supposed to be the moment I became seen. Instead, my parents canceled it, literally canceled my birthday dinner, because my older brother, Caleb, didn't get into his first choice med school, and they didn't want him to feel worse. That was the day I learned how far their favoritism went. I grew up in a house where Caleb was the password for love. An A on my test got a good job, buddy. An A on his test meant a family dinner. I liked drawing, reading, and later music. He liked being the main character. Mom told strangers at the grocery store that he volunteered at hospitals once. Dad's eyes lit up if Caleb walked into a room. If I tried to share anything I cared about, I got told to be practical. When I bought a used guitar with months of saved paychecks, Mom frowned and said, "Focus on something like your brother." That line stuck like a splinter. 2 days before my 18th birthday, Mom sat me down. "Let's skip a big celebration," she said, as if a diner meal with 3 friends was the Met Gala. "Your brother's been down." Dad muttered about tone. Caleb ate pancakes and smirked. I lay awake that night counting every moment I'd been pushed aside, and I realized something harsh and simple. They were never going to value me. Not because they forgot, because they didn't want to. So at 12 a.m., technically my birthday, I quietly left. Backpack, savings, 1-200, cheap room near the community college, extra shifts at the grocery store. For the first time, my life felt mine. I learned to stretch rice and eggs into meals. I taught myself guitar properly. I took online classes. I breathed, months passed. I moved into a tiny apartment with windows that stuck in the summer and a fridge that hummed too loud. It was perfect. I started a small music channel. I recorded with a cheap mic and a backup guitar. Real, not fancy. Comments trickled in. This feels honest. I didn't need parades. I needed quiet. Apparently, quiet looks like arrogance to people who used to control you. First text from my parents. "We're worried. Caleb's been having a tough time." How did they even know where I lived? Answer. Caleb stalked my Instagram, saw my tiny wins, and showed up at my door like he owned the lease. He toured my place like a landlord, poked at my furniture, made jokes about my independence, and called me selfish. I asked him to leave. He smiled like winning was his default setting and said, "Mom's going to call." He wasn't wrong. Mom arrived with a bag of food, Caleb's favorites. Lasagna, chicken parm, chocolate pie. She looked around and said, "I shouldn't be living like this, even though I paid for it myself." Then she dropped the real reason she'd come. "Your brother might move in for a while. You've clearly figured things out." I laughed, ugly and honest. "You gave him everything. I gave me everything." She called me ungrateful and left. Dad called later with some version of "help your family or don't expect our help." I told him I hadn't had theirs in years. A few days later, Caleb returned with a suitcase and an assumption. "Just a couple weeks. No job, no plan." I said no. He snapped a photo of my apartment as he left and promised I'd regret this. Suddenly, my aunt texted, full of pity my parents had fed her. Then a YouTube video landed like a rock through glass. The truth about Owen, the liar behind the music. New account, disguised voice, but I'd know that smug cadence anywhere. Caleb showed my analytics, my Instagram, my streams. He said I'd stolen money from our parents and faked everything, that I was scamming followers by acting broke. He framed my independence as fraud, my DMs flooded. Some believed me. Others loved the drama. I reported the video, but it spread. When I called home, Mom said, "He's telling his side." Dad said, "You brought this on yourself." Caleb commented from his real account. Some of us earn success honestly. I shut my laptop and sat in the dark while anger turned into something heavier. Clarity. They weren't trying to bring me home. They were trying to bring me down. Then my door lock came back scratched and my place ransacked. Drawers open, mail tossed, books scattered, guitar gone. On the counter, an old childhood photo of me and Caleb I hadn't seen in years, left there like a signature. The police took a report and gave me a shrug. Later, I found a note in Caleb's handwriting. "You should have stayed humble, little bro." I didn't sleep much after that. The fridge hum sounded like a drill, but rock bottom has a gift. You stop performing. I closed my accounts, started fresh under an alias, Noah West, and made songs that bled. I took a second job at a cafe. The owner, Claire, hired me without a speech. Work morning shifts, grocery store nights, record at dawn. The new channel grew quiet and real. A track called Glass Houses landed on an indie channel and exploded to 100,000 views in a week. Comments rolled in, "This helped me survive dinner with my parents." I felt seen. None of them knew me, the family saga, the birthday that never happened. They just heard the feeling. Then a letter taped to my door. "Family meeting. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Don't ignore us again." I didn't go. My phone lit up anyway. Last chance to fix things. Translation, last chance to fold. Months later, my alias was no longer small. 500,000 subscribers. A label reached out with a small, fair deal. For the first time, I bought a better guitar with my own money. I didn't gloat online. I just played it and cried a little because it felt like coming home to myself. Word got back to my parents. They started sending proud texts like paid actors. "We're so proud. Let's put the past behind us. Love on a timer." I didn't answer. I documented. Screenshots, timestamps, the break-in report, copies of Caleb's video, and the note he left. I also installed 2 discrete cameras in my apartment, one facing the door, one the window. I stopped hoping they would change and started preparing for the day I'd ask them to stop lying. That day came inside a nice house with white shutters and a congratulations banner. Caleb's graduation and new career opportunity. The invitation said it would mean the world if I came. It meant money, I found out at dinner. "Help your brother launch his practice," Dad said. "Family success is shared." Mom raised a glass to both our boys, Caleb for graduating and Owen for whatever he's doing. The table chuckled. I smiled the kind of smile you wear to surgery. Then Caleb said the line he'd practiced. "Partnering with me could help clean your image." My image? From his fake video? From his break-in? From his shadow? I put my phone on the table, pressed play, and let his face fill the screen. A clip from my entry camera. Caleb inside my apartment, holding my stolen guitar, laughing to himself. "You should have stayed humble, little bro." Forks froze. Mom whispered his name like a prayer. Dad flushed. Caleb sputtered, "It's fake," but I slid the police report across the table. I said I hadn't pressed charges because I didn't want to ruin his life. But I had a manager now, who was also an attorney, and the file was ready if he kept lying. The room learned a word it didn't want. Consequences. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I told the truth and left. Outside, the air felt like water after a long breath hold. Inside, their picture-perfect brand collapsed in whispers. In the following days, relatives texted me footage of the aftermath. Mom crying. Dad shouting. Caleb stammering. A local forum picked it up. The model family had cracks. My parents went on a PR tour of friends and church groups, but the story had left the house. You can't unring a bell. Caleb's opportunity turned out to be an internship. I shared my report with the program once he denied what everyone had seen. They withdrew him. Later, I allowed them to review all evidence. They quietly kept him out. Aunt Linda, my only consistent ally, called me brave and told me to choose peace over replays. I blocked my parents' numbers, not in anger, but as a boundary. One rainy night, Caleb knocked on my door. He looked smaller. No, sometimes at live shows, I spot a face that looks like mine used to, tired, hopeful, wanting permission to leave a room that hurts. I sing the last line of 18 for them. After one set, a teen handed me wrinkled lyrics and whispered, the line about walking away to become real. It saved me. Then it did exactly what it had to do. I finally celebrated my 18th. Late, with a cake, a couple of real friends, and no speech about being more like your brother. Someone asked what I wished for. I said nothing because the wish had turned into a life. If you're the quiet kid in a loud house, walking away isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's the first true sentence you write about yourself. What I learned. Favoritism is a story some families tell so one person doesn't have to grow. Boundaries are not revenge. They're oxygen. Documentation is not paranoia. It's protection. Success is not loud. Peace is. If your family kept choosing someone else over you, would you stay and keep shrinking? Or would you leave and find the version of yourself that can finally breathe?